What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Brinson. I'm your host. It is Friday, July 29th. If you're listening to the podcast, if you're watching on YouTube, it's Thursday, July 28th. The magic of time travel in full effect. YouTube.com/Pick6. Check us out there. We're live every day for the rest of time. Joining me to talk about the AFC West.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Good guess. Ryan Wilson, grass cutter extraordinaire. What's up, buddy?
Hey, I've been cutting grass for 30,
What's your
35-ish years. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, I can, because I've been doing the same thing. Well, I guess not 35.
What's your what? What are you going to ask me?
What's your preferred, like, what do you, when you cut, like, do you start like,
I've never done riding lawnmower, so I always do push. Never had a big yard to have to work. Well, we had a big yard in North Carolina. My parents didn't care. They just made me, as a 15-year-old, I was spending 2 hours out there cutting the grass. So I just go old school, back and forth, overlap by about 3 inches on the, what's the width of the lawnmower? I'm not into lawnmowers like it used to be, 24-inch, 18-inch, whatever it is.
Yeah, probably 2.5 feet.
Yeah. So, you overlap 2 or 3 inches.
Oh, you do the overlapping.
No, just one row and back. I don't, because like I was talking to you about my son earlier.
You got a full 2 or 3 inches overlap on each row.
Yeah, no more than 3. 3 is probably max, but yeah, 2. And when you get good,
you want to have wispy pop-ups anywhere.
Yeah, that's the worst.
I
don't do.
15-year-old tries to match up the lines, doesn't he?
Who?
Your 15-year-old who cuts your grass.
Oh no, he goes every other row. Like he skips like 8 inches between each row. He doesn't care.
Oh my god.
He might be doing his eyes closed as far as I know. Like I'm half kidding, but half serious. Yeah, but I never did like the 1 week vertically, 1 week horizontally. I know people do that. I
like to go diagonal.
People do diagonal. Do you do the circle around the tree, like the
I've tried it. I'm not a big fan. But you start in the middle and you just go outwards. Yeah.
Well, just to sort of frame the tree, like where you have the landscaping or whatnot.
You need to have a tree to do that.
Correct.
You can do it. You can do it like that regularly.
You can do it wherever you want for sure. It is interesting. For as OCD as I am, I have not yet gotten super OCD about lawn care. Maybe that's the next thing I'll get into. But I just try to do a good job and not embarrass myself. And some of my family have different perspectives of what the level of embarrassment means when you do lawn work. But hey, here we are.
Yeah, big. We actually had a Massey. I think it was a Massey Ferguson. It's a red
lawnmower.
Yeah. It's John Deere's obviously the popular name, but Massey Ferguson the other tractor name. But it was a maybe it wasn't a Massey, but anyway, it was a this is what we had at my parents' farm growing up, and like I had to mow the grass every week. And you get
with a push mower.
No. I mean, like this is like mowing like several acres of land.
Okay.
Maybe not several acres, but I mean, like way, like it would not have been feasible to mow this with a push mower.
You'd be cutting every day for the whole entire summer.
Yeah,
like you cut a part of it.
I mean, it would take like a couple hours with a riding mower.
Jeez.
Yeah.
What did you listen to on your Walkman?
Yeah, you had a Walkman, of course. But
what'd you listen to before you ran out of batteries?
Pearl Jam. I don't remember.
Oh, okay. All right, I can see that.
I made mixes and whatnot. Nirvana.
Do you have a mullet?
No. But this mower was like, I mean, it's just insanely wide up front, and it had and then like 2 wheels, but it had like a high seat, and it had it didn't have a wheel. It had like the
Green Machine levers.
Yeah, like 2 handlebars.
Do you remember the Green Machine?
Just let me finish about talking about the damn mower. And it had like a single wheel underneath the seat, and you could spin that, like you could spin it on a dime. It was awesome. Right. Like it was the first like 5.
You're out there doing donuts instead of cutting the grass, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, no, you would figure out how where you needed like whip and turn around and like get to get the best possible. You could back out, like figure out. It was enjoyable. Not every By the middle of July, you're like, all right, you know what? I had fun with this mower the first couple of times. But
I will say this: there is something to be said for like being a landscaper, as that being your business. The logistical dealing with the money stuff, which is a pain aside, but every day you're outside. If you're not in Florida, where it's 1,000,000 degrees, but you're cutting grass, don't have to think about anything. Like there's not the pressures of working with Brinson and relying on him being on time, for example. Although imagine being in a landscaping business with you.
Sure.
Good Lord. But yeah, cutting grass can be quite therapeutic.
Yeah.
Green Machine is a big wheel from back in the day.
Gotcha. Anywho,
that you drove with the little levers to turn.
There's is there any news out there today? It's a slow news day.
Yeah, Devo just sent us a note.
Oh, Ryan Jensen was carted off.
Yeah, in fact, Pete Prisco and Rick Spielman are in Tampa Bay at training camp as we speak here on this Thursday. And Prisco asked Tristan Wirfs specifically about that. And of course, Tristan Wirfs, the injury had literally just happened. He said, we hope for all the best. And Rick Spielman reported that Robert Hainsey, former Notre Dame tackle, actually, who he was drafted with the idea of kicking inside. The team likes him, so we'll see what happens in terms of Jensen's injury first overall, and then the second, whether they look outside the organization to sign someone, or whether Hainsey will be the guy who gets the shot should Jensen not be available immediately.
Ryan Jensen being injured for a lengthy amount of time would be a pretty big problem.
Yeah. Again, Spielman noted that they like Hainsey. We'll see how much they like him should he have to play.
That's
but
fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean
that's a huge loss.
Yeah, I mean he's a starting center for Tom Brady. Like that's a big deal. Just seeing what else we might be missing here. Chiefs signed Carlos Dunlap to a 1-year deal worth up to $8 million. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, especially if it were 7 years ago, but sure.
I mean, they need help on they need all the help they can get on that defense. I feel like, but yeah,
they had a great. Let me look real quick. Let me check their draft. Oh, they drafted George Karlaftis out of Purdue, which is I think he's really good. I was sort of down on him last year at Purdue, but I think given the fact that he hasn't played a lot of football and he's only going to get better, blah blah blah. So yeah, they have that. Frank Clark's still there. Who did they lose that was an edge rusher last year? Did they lose anyone? They lost Melvin Ingram, but he was only there as sort of a part-time guy anyway. Like they got him mid-season. Chris Jones can kick it back inside, so that's obviously important. And then they drafted Brian Cook and Trent McDuffie in the secondary, guys who I think can contribute right away. But right, in that division, I think the Chargers probably had the best offseason in terms of combating the other great quarterbacks. Khalil Mack, Jackson.
Chandler Jones for the Raiders too.
Yeah, but J.C. Jackson and Khalil Mack, I think, take the cake.
Oh, yeah, I would agree with that.
Derwin James is about to get paid, it looks like, and they have, obviously, Bosa. Joey. I always get those mixed up.
Antonio Gandy Golden has retired from football.
Crazy.
I know, just 2 years in. You never saw this back in the day. I'm glad that players are willing to walk away when they're not.
Yeah, so 2010, Jason Worlds retired, sort of out of the blue. He was a second-round pick. He just sort of come into his own as the edge rusher, and he was his rookie deal was about to be up, I believe, and he was about to get paid, and he said, "I'm going to retire." And it sounds like do some of the same things that Antonio Gandy Golden is going to do, which is focus more on community and education and whatnot. But yeah, and Tim
Worlds walked away. It was like a big deal. I mean, it
was a huge deal. I was like, "Oh my god, what are they going to do?"
Yeah. Well, it was like a big story that we wrote about several times. I feel like this is the one where are you gonna go with the 49? Oh god, what was the 49ers linebacker?
Yeah, that was concussion related. I can't ever remember his name either.
Chris.
Right, exactly. Chris, what's his name?
God, what? Chris.
Went to Ohio State, I do believe. But he retired after a couple seasons, maybe no more than 2. Chris Borland, because he said, "Look, man, I see how this affects people, including myself. I want to be able to remember my kids when I'm 50 or whatever." So yeah, that was an instance. I feel like it did another line. Who was the? I'm gonna mess this up, so I won't even go. I won't even try to remember who it is. But yeah, it's hasn't been commonplace. In part because you make a lot of money and you understand the trade-offs. But Antonio Gandy Golden out of Liberty, big wide receiver, wasn't particularly fast. Sort of a Kelvin Harmon type, which is interesting because the Washington drafted both those players. I think Antonio Gandy Golden went in the 4th round, and he didn't do a whole lot last year. And this year, I'm sure he's like, it's hot out here. I'm not really into it. My heart's not into it, and I think I'm going to go back to school, and more power to him. I have no issue with that.
No issue whatsoever. All right, let's get to our get to the meat of the pod. How about it? AFC West. Mentioned AFC West.
That was the potatoes. This is the meat.
Yeah, this is the meat. not many potatoes on the plate, but we got a big old thing of steak, and it's the AFC West.
Before
Bernie,
you go on, by the way, shout out to people who keep requesting money from me on Venmo. I mean,
does it keep coming in?
if we had that sort of commitment for literally anything else on this planet, we'd solve, the climate crisis, world hunger, and everything else we have issues with.
That's good. Let's see who wrote this piece. That would be Jeff Kerr. Start with the Chiefs. We'll start with the Chiefs.
Let me guess the Jeff Kerr storyline. You tell me how close I get to it. You going with the Chiefs first?
Yeah.
It's got to be left tackle Orlando Brown.
That is not even one of the top two, but that is one of them.
Wide receiver?
Yes. Who is it's on the screen, by the way.
There it is. Still missed it.
Who is the number one wide receiver now that Tyreek Hill is gone? It is a burning question for the Chiefs, and it's a good question.
We talked about this, I think, on the mailbag.
Yeah.
All right. Who's your candidate?
I'm going to say Mecole Hardman.
I'll say Travis Kelce. Next question.
Number one wide receiver.
I know he's going to get targeted the most, though.
Yeah.
Mecole Hardman. Okay, actually,
Travis Kelce is the number one pass target, but which of these receivers will emerge as Mahomes' top wideout?
There you go. So when you look at the numbers, Marquez Valdez-Scantling's numbers last year are not impressive in terms of the number of receptions he had. Juju's aren't either because he was hurt. I think MVS didn't play the full slate of games. He maybe played just slightly more than half. But Mecole Hardman's numbers are pretty good, even in offense with Tyreek and Travis and the other targets there. So I think Mecole makes the most sense. I think Juju has an opportunity to get close to his first few seasons in Pittsburgh. But again, there is no Tyreek or Antonio Brown to help take the pressure off him. And then they draft Sky Moore on day 2, who's a fun player who has a chance to be sort of a slotty type guy and not replace Tyreek, but maybe do some of those sorts of responsibilities on the field. He can get deep too. I think he ran the 4.4s, maybe low 4.4s. He didn't play quite that fast, but that's okay. You got Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes helping you out. So anyway, I think Mecole's the safe choice. Josh Gordon's still on the roster, by the way. I don't know.
That's not.
Yeah. I don't know if he's at training camp. I haven't heard a thing about him. I'm just looking at the rosters and I see his name there is listed as the number 2 behind MVS. So take that for what it's worth.
I mean, I tend to think that it's going to end up being a case where even though one guy will obviously have more, more yards than the other guy. I mean, like one guy's going to have more yards and more catches than everyone else. Like it's not going to be a tie, or it's unlikely to be a tie. But I would think there's a chance that it's like two guys in the low 1,000s in terms of receiving yards, and maybe not even that.
Are you including Travis Kelce or no?
No.
Oh, okay. So that's going to be 3 guys if you include.
Yeah, maybe that's too high. Well, I mean, let's see. All right. I mean,
60% of the yards that.
All right, Tyreek Hill got 160 targets, 111 catches, and 1,239 receiving yards last year.
Oh, yeah, that 3,000-yard players is a lot.
I mean, but it wouldn't be crazy for Mecole Hardman to be.
Well, who was second in receiving that not named Travis Kelce?
Mecole Hardman at 693.
Oh, what did Travis have?
1125. Mecole Hardman had 83 targets last year.
Yeah, there's no way they get 3,000 guys. I don't think.
They also lost Byron Pringle, who had 60 targets.
I think he went to Chicago, maybe.
Yeah, Demarcus Robinson had 41 targets. I mean, there's just a lot of targets to go around if the offense doesn't dramatically change.
All right, 3 1,000 guys or 5 800+ guys.
I think it could be both. Both.
Okay.
I mean, but I think that's going to be when you just start doing the quick math on the targets. I mean, you're talking about 300 targets. Let's say you're let's say you're averaging, I don't know, like 8 yards per target.
Okay.
So you got 100. See. Yeah, I mean, yeah. It just depends on how they. I think it depends on is Juju going to be primary slot? Is Sky Moore going to be slot? Or they're going to have both guys on slot and Kelce. I mean,
who's the second leading receiver on this team?
I'll say Juju.
I think so too.
I think MVS is going to be he's going to have a. Excuse me. No, I had something in my throat.
Smoking too many Reds before the show.
Oh my god. I think MVS will be he's gonna have his yards per reception and yards per target is gonna be really high, but he's not gonna have a ton of catches or receptions.
All right, my next question is Sky Moore or MVS, who has more total yards?
I'll say Sky. I'll say MVS.
Oh, you tried to say both there. That's going to be close because it's hard to tell with the rookie. You don't know what kind of impact they're going to have at wide receiver. I'll say Sky Moore.
I feel like rookie receivers in Andy Reid systems don't typically have huge years.
Yeah, Cornell Powell's going in.
Tyreek Hill had 593 receiving yards his first year.
I mean, if you got it from Sky Moore, I think you'd be pretty happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Corey Coleman is also on this roster, which is sort of funny. Corey Coleman and Josh Gordon. All right.
Corey Coleman. Hey, Andy Reid ain't afraid of a reclamation project. Yeah, I'm trying to find I can't remember off the top of my head. Deshaun Jackson didn't do it. Jeremy Maclin didn't do it. I'm trying to think of a rookie wide receiver had 1,000 yards in the Andy Reid system because Tyreek Hill didn't do it.
Okay. And I think the other issue is Orlando Brown, which you've talked about previously too on this podcast. He does have in the rare spot where he has leverage as an offensive tackle because it's August. He protects the best player in football.
Oh, no, number 2 is Clyde Edwards-Helaire ready to be the number 1 running back?
For me,
no.
Oh, no. But for me, the thing is offensive tackle is more important than Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Rojo's on the roster. Jerick McKinnon is back. I think he played there for the second half of last season.
Derek Bowler got some run last year.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh, they have 2 similar players. I don't know if they drafted Jerry Neely or signed him afterwards. They signed afterwards Isaiah Pacheco too. Maybe they drafted him late. Either way, both those guys were either late round picks or undrafted free agents. And they're similar type players in that they're absolute burners, undersized, and sort of have an ability to help in the pass game. So that's interesting. Sort of Clyde Edwards-Helaire light. I can't believe this Clyde Edwards-Helaire thing hasn't really worked out. He was so good at LSU, obviously. And then you thought going to Andy Reid's system would be sort of the Brian Westbrook thing, which was the comparison coming out. So maybe
now it is worth noting that Brian Westbrook didn't really, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire was injured last year too. Brian Westbrook did not take off until later in his career. He didn't have 1,000-yard rushing season until his 5th year with Philly.
Yeah, but he also wasn't drafted as a first-round pick with those expectations. So, I mean, if Clyde Edwards-Helaire were a 3rd-round pick, no one would care. I think that's the
yeah, for sure. That's fair.
Because he was the first running back taken before Jonathan Taylor, for whatchamacallit for the Ravens who got hurt last year. What's his name?
J.K. Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins, thank you. All right, yeah. So are you still –
Oh, cool. Your boy Kyler Murray lashing out.
Did he do it on his iPad, like a video from his iPad, which would be hysterical?
He called it disrespectful, almost a joke that people think he could have accomplished what he has without studying and preparing for the game. This game.
Hey, man, who wrote the contract? Why are you mad at?
He declined to answer if he was mad at the team for the contract clause.
Every Wednesday, I usually do radio in Baltimore with our buddy Bob Haney and Vinny Serrato. And I asked Vinny yesterday, in all his time in front offices, DC, San Francisco, had he ever seen anything like that contract-wise? And he said it was the craziest thing that he'd ever heard of.
Yeah, it's wild. Sorry, I didn't mean to divert randomly.
No, that's fine. That's a weird sort of flex by Kyler, but
yeah, it was an impromptu press conference. Anyway, back to the Chiefs. The number 3 pressing issue, Orlando Brown.
Oh, finally. You said he didn't make the top of the list.
I told you he was number 3.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I think that's...
Will this be Orlando Brown's last year with the Chiefs?
I don't know. I think they're going to probably pay him. I don't know.
I think they pay him. They have multiple picks for him, including first-rounders.
Yeah, and I'm sure the understanding had to be that he was going to want a new deal at some point. I tend to agree with that. And I think, like I've been saying, he's in the rare position that he has a lot of leverage for a non-quarterback. So more power to him. Hope it works out for him.
Yeah, I mean, they need to. It's the problem is when you trade for a player like Orlando Brown, you're committing to. I mean, like when you give up first-round picks or a first-round pick, like if you give a first-round pick for a player, you're kind of committed. It's like the Jamal Adams situation in Seattle. Like they were just inherently.
Well, that's not a great example if you're Orlando Brown's agent. Don't bring up Jamal Adams, whatever you do.
I'm saying that you're pot committed. You have to pay him. You can't let him walk.
I don't want to divert this too much, but our buddy Adam Beasley has covered the Dolphins forever, and now he's more in a national role at PFN. But he just
he's the editor there now.
He might be, but I give Tyreek Hill a lot of credit for being so pro Dolphins, like with his comments. And
yeah, see, that's just like that's what you want when you trade for somebody.
Yeah, 100%.
They come in and be like, man, I love Miami. You know what else I love? Tua. Mahomes sucks. Go Tua.
So anyway, Tyreek just said on Thursday after practice that well, yeah, but if kids are listening, Tyreek Hill said opposing defensive backs will be scared poopless when they see him and Jalen Waddle line up on the same side. And again, this isn't a me first Antonio Brown approach, and this has nothing to do with Orlando Brown. That's just
hyping up the young guys. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, why not? What's the downside? Like, no one's going to come back in December and say 2 through 8 interceptions today. How could you say what you said in July? But if it works out with Tua, then you're like, oh, this is why you need to be a team first guy or whatever.
Well, it's like when you get a new job and like you don't go to the new job and be like, you know, at least in like our business, you
or any business, no,
yeah,
right?
Like you're tweeting out articles, you're like, oh, like a fantastic story from at Ryan Wilson here. Like, you know, it's like, oh, I love this job that, you know, like you're like tagging your coworkers, you're hyping everybody up, and now like you know we've been here for like 12 years. It's like, you want me to tweet about something for work? I don't think so.
Yeah. Mute thread.
Yeah, I'm not tweeting. What do you want from me?
And one last thing before we continue to jump around like we're not paying attention. Our Jonathan Jones is actually in Arizona today. He was talking to Cliff Kingsbury on CBS Sports HQ earlier. And so I'm sure he will have some insights onto this Kyler Murray impromptu press conference.
I've seen for JJ to be the ugliest person on camera.
Well, yeah, that's why you bring Prisco with you.
That's right. Yeah, Pete, don't ask me questions. Just stand here. I want to be the ugliest guy on this camera.
So yeah, Orlando Brown, I think it's going to work out because, you know, as we've been saying, they traded for him.
I think they have to find a way to. I mean, obviously they can't pay him until next offseason. But
and by the way, if I'm trying to think, if this was Carson Wentz as your quarterback, you would probably not be as concerned with who the left tackle was when it's Patrick Mahomes. I know, no disrespect to Carson Wentz, but my point is that he's not Patrick Mahomes. So whoever your replacement level quarterback is that you want to insert that name.
When you have a 25-year-old left tackle who you traded,
he's only 25. Wow,
he might be 20. He's 26 now, but just barely.
Well, you got to pay him, yeah.
Yeah, you just got to pay him like this. You give him a big ass contract, and I mean, what is the? I'm trying to think what's Bakhtiari in Bakhtiari. Trent Williams. Oh, that's the Trent Williams is the problem.
What's he make?
I mean, Orlando Brown probably wants more than so Bakhtiari got 23 after Tunsil got 22. And then Trent Williams got 23 million and $10,000 per year. He just used $10,000 above.
That's the highest. That's the going rate for left tackles.
Yeah.
So now we're at the point where wide receivers are outpacing left tackle position. Is that right? What's Tyreek making?
Yeah, Tyreek's at 30. But I mean, it's like funny money 30.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but wide receivers are higher. Yeah, I mean, so like basically Orlando Brown wants to be paid more than Trent Williams. The Chiefs don't want to do it. I think you kind of have to.
So at 22, I mean, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Sounds almost reasonable for that position. Where are you? And you don't have to answer this. We can talk about it as we go through the other teams. Are you still going to be Chiefs to win the division? Or are you holding off on that?
I think so.
I'm not.
Okay, you're on Chargers probably.
Team Chargers, baby.
All right, let's get to the Chargers. Who's going to be the number 2 running back? The number 1 burning question for Jeff Kerr as it relates to the Los Angeles Chargers. When we look at their depth chart, obviously Austin Eckler is number 1. If this is your biggest problem, by the way, your team's in pretty good shape. They drafted Isaiah Spiller this offseason.
Fourth round.
Josh Kelly's a 4th rounder. Justin Jackson gone now. Felt like he was always going to be the guy who could step up.
I thought he was there for 15 years.
I know. They have Larry Roundtree there as well, and then Letty Brown and Kevin Marks to UDFAs.
Yeah, these are good problems to have because Isaiah Spiller was sort of in the first round conversation come last year at this time. fell to the 4th round. That doesn't mean he played poorly. It's just that running backs, for some reason, we like to put them in the 1st round in August, and then they sort of get calibrated to where they're supposed to go. Josh Kelly's a similar type player. He's not as dynamic, I would argue, as Spiller, but plenty dynamic. And Larry Roundtree's more of a between the tackles guy, at least in college. I didn't watch him last year. But obviously, Austin Eckler's where the conversation starts. Kelly and Spiller can catch the ball coming out of the backfield, so I think it gives you that versatility. And that's going to be a big part of what they do. Because they have this quarterback named Justin Herbert, who apparently is pretty good.
By the way, Justin Jackson's still unemployed, so he could come back in theory.
Yeah. He must be close to 30, if not 30 by now. So I don't know.
But he's like, no way.
He's not? God, I feel like he's been there forever.
He's 26.
Jeez, oh, pizza, man.
All he did was do his rookie contract. I know somebody who played with him at Northwestern, so he's like the nicest guy on the planet.
And he went to Northwestern, so that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so the whole football thing doesn't work out. But yeah, I think if that's the biggest.
I'd say in a perfect world, it's Spiller.
Yeah.
The Spiller steps up and fills that role really well and can be a good number 2 for
I think he's more of a, not knowing Joshua Kelly's height, weight, but just based on my memory. Isaiah Spiller's more of the sort of number 2 workhorse guy than Joshua Kelly perhaps is built to be, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's number 2? Go ahead.
Is the run defense going to be significantly better in 2022? Chargers had the 3rd worst run defense in football. They couldn't stop the Raiders in that overtime game.
Significantly? Why significantly? What would lead you to believe it would be significantly better?
They added Sebastian Joseph Day, Austin Johnson, Calvin Noy, and of course Khalil Mack, who I think is a pretty good run defender from his spot. But
all right, Khalil Mack gets my attention. The other 2.
Sebastian Joseph Day is a good player on the interior.
Okay.
But the problem is they have Bosa and they have Khalil Mack and Jerry Tillery, their 2019 first round pick on the they just need more beef on the interior. They just don't really have it. And I feel like Staley's defense might even be like quasi designed to give up rushing yards. Also,
to continue the theme that you mentioned with the first point there, if this is your second biggest problem in a division that includes Mahomes, Russ Wilson, Derek Carr, you're probably doing okay. Because again, they have Asante Samuel Jr., who had a really good rookie season. J.C. Jackson, who they signed. You mentioned Khalil Mack. Derwin James is about to get paid. This is a good team.
It's a very good team. If their biggest problems are backup running back and improving the run defense needs to be better.
Mm-hmm.
But again, those are good problems to have. I don't under.
They drafted Otito Ogbonia out of UCLA. Had an awesome Senior Bowl. Didn't quite play that consistently during his final season at UCLA. So I don't know if he's going to come in and help right away in terms of the interior. But he's sort of a quick twitch guy. We'll see. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, I mean, the run defense needs to be better. We'll say I don't know if it'll be significantly better. I think if it's like league average, that's pretty good considering all the other stuff they have.
And also, I think with that understanding that you're in the AFC West and what you're going up against, that's why you draft Zion Johnson and Rashawn Slater and have Justin Herbert to throw to guys like Mike Williams. And Josh Palmer's the guy actually to keep. I don't know how that's going in the fantasy drafts this year for you, but
he's a popular sleeper. I don't have.
I think he's going to have a pretty good season as well.
Finally, for the Chargers, who's the right tackle?
The poor guy you were crushing, I don't think it's with the team anymore. Storm Norton is gone.
Yeah.
So it's Trey Pipkins of the depth chart, Foster Sorrell, and Zach Bailey. So
probably
I don't think
there's no chance Zion Johnson's playing right tackle.
I was just going to say Zion Johnson played left tackle for BC because of injuries 2 years ago, I believe. I think last year he played mostly left guard, and he was really good. He's undersized. He's short, and I'm not sure how long his arms are, and whether that's
not great if you got to go up against
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like Kelvin Beachum was a 7th round pick for the Steelers back in the day. He's still playing. He's short, 6'1" or 6'2" or 6'3" or whatever he is, but he had extremely long arms, and that helped him play tackle. I'm not sure what Zion Johnson's arm length is, but he's a really good football player. Maybe it's better served to keep him inside, and then you have him, Corey Linsley, and Rashawn Slater. Although they have Rashawn Slater listed at
Slater's left tackle.
Yeah, he's left tackle. Matt Filer, excuse me.
Yeah.
Who also former Steelers, it turns out, and Jamari Salyer, who they drafted out of Georgia, who will play inside. So
the answer is probably Trey Pipkins.
I think so. He's a veteran. He's played the position. He's an upgrade over Storm Norton. He must have. Is he the one that got hurt last year that allowed Storm Norton on the field? Was it Trey?
I think that's right.
I think it was too. So yeah, I think because the old saying is that do you move, let's say, a right guard to right tackle to bolster the right tackle position after the original right tackle got hurt, and in essence, you're just weakening two positions instead of leaving the right guard there and just getting the next guy up at the right tackle position. And I think that's the math you do. By the way, Gerald Everett is the tight end. I think they signed him. I don't think he was there last year, right?
No, he was at the Seahawks last year.
Right. So yeah, that's another little something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's not a lot of weaknesses on this team. I think they will be the popular choice to win this division. I think
you think it'll be popular? Oh, Storm Norton is still on the roster. He's the backup left tackle. My bad, Storm. Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay. There you go. Sorry.
You think they're popular? Vegas doesn't think they're the most popular. Has a number. The type. I think they're plus 250.
I think amongst media members, it'll be very popular.
No, that's right. Because I think Chiefs are minus, and I think minus money, and Chargers, Broncos are plus 250 last time I saw.
Well, there you go. All right. Let's take a break. And when we come back, the Broncos and the Raiders next.
You ready?
They're coming. Hang on.
Showtime.
Did you see that? I won't sleep until he's in the ground.
Go, 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 go!
What are you waiting for?
I'm jumping out a window! Oh, sorry. Good luck.
The Denver Broncos. I was going to make a remark about anyway. The Denver Broncos. We'll get right into it. Can the burning question? Can Russell Wilson get the Broncos to Super Bowl contender level? To Super Bowl?
No. Next question.
I mean, I think the better version of this question is what Russell Wilson are the Broncos getting?
Is there more than one version when he's healthy?
I mean, he wasn't very good last year.
Because he hurt his finger. He had 9 fingers to throw with.
Well, I mean, that's not something that's necessarily going to magically fix itself.
Yeah, typically time does heal all wounds. I think that's even a saying.
How did he make the Pro Bowl last year?
But that doesn't mean anything. If he's healthy,
worst completion percentage since 2017.
Why are you mad at Russ? What did he do to you? This is a weird sort of thing you're doing here where you're mad at him because he got hurt.
I'm not mad at him because
what's his worst season prior to last season? Like how different is it from his average season?
So, all right, his per 17 game would have been 3,800 yards, which is very low.
Not last year. I don't care about last year. He was hurt.
Oh my God. I don't want to argue with you about Russell Wilson, but
which is weird. Why are you beating up on curly-haired Russell Wilson as BMAC Lexicon?
Probably it's hard to say. I mean,
I'll do it. You have the
like 2018 he had completed.
You have the energy right now, Bernie Lomax at a party.
I really do. I don't know why I don't have any energy.
All right, let's see here. So 2021, we're not looking at that. So his lowest completion percentage before that was 2017, 61%, which is actually pretty low. That team went 9-7. I don't remember the particulars of when the band started breaking up there. Like if the Legion of Boom was still there. But he had 34 touchdowns, which
led the league.
11 interceptions, still not terrible.
I think it's weird. Like he doesn't have.
There's no my point. That's exactly my point. There's no outlier where you go, oh my God, because he's been primarily healthy. He has been healthy. He played with remember he had a turned ankle that he played with a few years ago and sort of limped through that.
Weird. He has his worst completion percentage ever, but he leads the league in touchdown passes.
So I think that my takeaway or the point I was trying to make is that when he has all 10 fingers, he's basically, what you're going to get from Russ Wilson. The variation the variance is very narrow.
That's fair.
So now circle back to the question.
New receivers, new offense, new head coach. I mean,
all better though. The coaching we'll see, but everything else is all better.
That is true.
And as you pointed out, Nathaniel Hackett was the OC when Blake Bortles almost beat the Patriots to go to the Super Bowl, and he did a good job with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay after that. So there's reasons for optimism. My concern, like if they played in the AFC South, I'd pick them to win 15 games, but they play in the AFC West, and that's my only concern.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, number 2? Who's going to play tight end? Who's going to be the number 1 tight end, I guess.
All right. The first order of business is you have to pronounce the number 1 tight end's name as it's listed on our lads.
Oh, Albert O.
Albert. I got the first name wrong. I called him Albert. Albert Abui-Kunum.
Abui-Kunum. Albert O is what they call him. He's going to be the starting tight end. They like him a lot.
And they drafted Greg Dulcich, I think, in round 3. Day 2 guy at UCLA. Yes. Fantastic hair. He is what Weird Al Yankovic would look like if Weird Al worked out a lot and was a tad bit handsomer. Didn't wear glasses. And he has sort of an edge. We talked to him at the combine. I thought he'd be all yuck because of the curly hairdo. I don't know why. He just seemed like
case.
Like who?
Not the case. He was all. He was very.
No, he was. His hairdo did not
belied his approach.
Exactly. I was going to use the word, but I don't know if I use it properly. But thank you for leaning into it. Yeah. So I think he'll get some run there. He's not a blocking tight end. He's more of a pass catcher, but that's okay. Albert O. Abui-Kunum can certainly block. Interestingly, 2 players from that Missouri team were drafted in 2019. One was Drew Lock. One was Abui-Kunum. Only Albert O. remains. Drew Lock is now in Seattle. So I think that's the tight end situation. If that's your biggest question, again, those are good problems to have. What's the next question?
Next up, how is the pass rush going to look?
Well,
these vague sweeping questions from Jeff Curry.
Bradley Chubb is back. Well, he was back last year, but your guy from NC State. Nick Benito, they drafted out of Oklahoma, who I like a lot. He's undersized, but extremely explosive. What'd you say?
Second round pick.
Yeah. He had some first round buzz. I just think he was a little.
They added Randy Gregory too.
Randy Gregory, who somehow escaped the clutches of Jerry Jones because Jerry Jones was too busy talking up Mike McCarthy and adding weird, or maybe it's Stephen Jones, adding weird clauses to Randy Gregory's contract that he didn't like. Draymond Jones has been there for a while at Ohio State. I'm trying to think. DJ Jones is on the inside, formerly of San Francisco. So yeah, no, it'll be. I mean, this is a fair point, and maybe this should be higher up on the list. I think Randy Gregory obviously is really good, and especially when he's able to have his off-field stuff in order, and he had some good run with the Cowboys in recent years. But
I think Jeff is and obviously I'm a homer here, but he wrote Bradley Chubb is a good player when healthy, but he's missed double-digit games in 2 of the last 3 years. I mean,
what's he underselling? I think this is actually perhaps should be higher on the list.
I think Bradley Chubb is a really good player when he's healthy.
Yeah, but here's the thing. So Max Crosby, Chandler Jones, Bosa, Mack. Now the Chiefs we talked about earlier, but they have Frank Clark, George Karlaftis. They just signed Carlos Dunlap. So where would you rank this pass rushing group among the 4 teams in the division?
3rd or 4th. Yeah, I mean, I think the Raiders in the.
Oh, the Raiders. I think the Chiefs.
Chargers are 1.
I think the Chiefs might be 3rd. Max Crosby and Chandler Jones. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I said that the Raiders and the Chargers are like.
Okay. I thought you were saying the Raiders were 3.
The Chiefs and the Broncos. No.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's right. So I think this is a fair point, and maybe a point that should be higher. Bradley Chubb is good. I'm sure Jeff would agree with that if you pressed him on it, but I think he can't do it by himself is the point.
Yeah, well, you add Randy Gregory, and look, when Bradley Chubb has played a full season, he has been, very good.
You're just yelling at Russ Wilson for getting hurt. Yes.
Okay.
Well, you take it out on Russ for being hurt, but now you're like, oh, when Bradley's healthy, he's amazing. Well, yeah, I agree. He can't stay healthy, or he struggled with that at least.
You leave. Brady Lim, excellent. The Raiders. Will the Darren Waller contract situation get settled?
This is a situation where we're talking about the Raiders, and the first question is about how much you hate Derek Carr and why. Is Derek Carr a top 10 quarterback?
He's right around there, yeah.
Yeah, without looking, I would say yes. I'm sure.
Assuming you already listed Kirk Cousins.
He's not better than Kirk Cousins. I think you're serious about this, all right?
You just said he's not better than Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins is not better than he is. You did a Jedi mind trick on him.
I don't know, man.
But yeah, the fact that that's not the first question is certainly encouraging. There's no John Gruden questions, which would have been up there because no matter had he not sent a bunch of stupid emails last year, I think we still would be wondering how much is he hurting this team as opposed to helping it. So the fact they're talking about Darren Waller, who I can't envision a situation where Mark Davis will not pay Darren Waller. Darren Waller checks every single box that Al Davis would love about a pass catcher, and I'm sure Mark Davis understands that. I think Darren Waller gets paid. I don't know off the top of my head what the highest paid tight end makes. Do you know? I'll look.
I can tell you. I mean, I can tell you very quickly.
I don't even know who the highest paid one is.
George Kittle.
It is George.
$15 million a year.
Yeah, you're paying Darren Waller.
We talked about this with the David Njoku situation and Johnny Smith with Mike Gesicki, Dalton Schultz getting the franchise tag. Like Darren Waller makes $7.6 million a year. He needs to be making $14 million a year.
No, he needs to be making. I think this is a quarterback situation. You pay him $15.01.
You put him above Kittle?
He's incredibly important to that offense.
I don't disagree with that at all.
Now, I don't know how old is Darren Waller.
The addition of Devontae Adams changes that a little bit.
Waller is 20. Oh, he's only 27. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. You pay him. George is 26. I think Travis is like 32 or something, I think. No, he's only 30. Yeah, absolutely. You pay him.
I think you can pay him.
And by the way, just 14. Dallas Goedert makes 14.25.
I'm just saying in the 14 range.
Why wouldn't you pay him 15 and one more penny?
I just think George Kittle is a much better player.
Okay, I think
I don't mind if they take him to 15, but I would prefer. I don't think they have to do it. Like if I'm Darren Waller, I'm taking 14. Like Mark Andrews makes 14. I would take 14-1. I'd take it and run. At age 30,
he's not 30. He's 27.
Oh, why did you tell me he was 30?
Travis Kelce's 30. I was looking at and Kittle's 26.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd pay him. They have Foster Moreau, Jacob Hollister, Nick Bauer. So not a lot after in terms of making up that sort of productivity, even with 3 or 4 guys.
All right. Next up, is the secondary good enough?
Well, they've had some struggles in terms of drafting guys.
That doesn't just extend to the secondary either.
Fair enough. The kid at Ohio State they had to cut last year because he was threatening people on the social medias. That didn't help. Trevon Moehrig, who they drafted last year, the safety I like a lot. Jonathan Abram I thought was sort of overdrafted. That was a few years ago. Trayvon Mullen has been slightly better than replacement level, but not living up to quite the billing you like. They traded for Rock Ya-Sin, which lets you know that the Colts weren't crazy about what they were getting out of Rock Ya-Sin coming out of Temple. Nate Hobbs was sort of an under the radar guy that I liked a lot coming out last year. I think he had some off-field silliness where he was like driving 2,000 miles an hour or something, but hopefully that's beyond him. But to answer the question, yeah, this is a concern, and it's a concern because, as I will be repeating often and have already said, you're not in the AFC South, you're in the AFC West. So this crew is going to get a lot of reps, just like every other secondary in that division. The difference may be that if the front 7 aren't getting after it, it could make for long afternoons.
Yeah, I mean it's like Patrick Graham is a big upgrade over Gus Bradley, though.
Oh, it was Gus Bradley last year, and the year before that, it was the former Bengals DC Gunther, Paul Gunther.
Oh, Paul Gunther, yeah, that's right, yeah, because Gruden brought him over and then fired. He blamed him for the defense, even though it was basically whoever they drafted.
And I should mention this: we were talking about ranking these pass rushing groups. I totally forgot that Cleve Farrell was still on the Raiders. Like he's listed as a backup behind Max Crosby, the former, I think he was top 5, top 6 pick a few years ago.
Yes, he was in 2019. He took him 4th overall.
It wasn't even in the conversation when I mentioned Chandler Jones. So that's not Cleve Farrell's fault, but that's Gruden's fault primarily for overdrafting him. But he's still on the roster, and I'm sure he may be battling for a roster spot at this point. I don't know.
He's not getting an extension.
No.
Yeah.
Just year 4 for him.
Yeah, I mean, well, now remember, you got to remember too, with like a whole new front office, whole new coaching staff. Maybe they'll try to get more out of him, but at the same time, it's like they understand that was a wasted 1st-round pick.
Look, we've talked about this a lot of times. The draft media don't know what they're talking about, but I think they were pretty spot on with Cleve Farrell being take him somewhere after 20th sort of player.
I mean, Josh Allen was sitting, not the Josh Allen, the pass rusher, was sitting right there, like the consensus best pass rusher, and he's been much, much, much better. They could have taken Devin White.
What?
Yeah, or Devin. I mean, like they clearly needed help at like Devin White would have been the pick. That was the pick for it was like, oh, this makes too much sense for the Raiders.
I think that's the draft. They took Cleve Farrell, they took Jonathan Abram, and they took Josh
Josh
Jacobs.
Jacobs. Yeah, we're all in Nashville. Remember I busted my face?
Oh yeah, that was good. How many sacks in 3 seasons do you think Cleve Farrell has?
I have his page open. I haven't looked, but I'll say 7.
8.
Okay.
How many games did he started 15 games his rookie season? How many games did he start last season? He played 16 total games.
I scrolled down. This is 0.
Zero, yeah.
Yeah. He's been bad. It's a shame too because he was a good player in college, but not a great player.
Great college player. Played on that with Christian Wilkins. Dexter Lawrence was on that offense. Was on the defensive line.
Yeah,
And
I mean it's sort of like they just picked the wrong Clemson guy.
No, this is all Raiders. I don't want to dump on Cleve Farrell. He was a late first round pick if you were sort of comparing him to other players, and they drafted him 4th because of his leadership qualities, which is great if you're, running an accounting firm. It's not great if you need someone to sack the quarterback. But anyway, so what's the next question?
Oh yeah. Finally, with the Raiders, is there enough firepower to shore up the run defense?
Again,
I don't know if I understand that.
do you have no big bodies in the middle? Maybe
You have firepower on run defense?
Jonathan Hankins, Vernon Butler. They drafted Neil Farrell out of LSU, who's a nice player. Does the run defense matter in a division where
you're like not worried about this run defense?
Austin Eckler and Clyde Edwards-Helaire are more dangerous on the perimeter than they are through the tackles consistently, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think. Well, the issue with run defense is that if the Chiefs put up 35 on you and you have to be able to stop them from like melting.
No, that's why you trade for Devontae Adams so you can score points.
Sure, yeah, I mean,
and that way, if you keep scoring points, they won't run the ball. There you go, math. Now, if you're worried about Javonte Williams running all over you, I suppose you could draft a bunch of interior defensive linemen, but
I don't think that the run defense is going to be great.
Who's going to have the best run defense in this division?
It
might be the Chiefs.
I was going to say the Chiefs. Yeah, I think that's right. Man, that is rough. Run defense last year, the Chiefs ranked by DVOA. Let's see that.
Yeah, what are the 4 teams?
Chargers were 30th.
Eesh.
The Chiefs were 20th.
Okay, respectable.
The Raiders were actually 9th.
There you go.
All
right.
Denver. I don't like this new format on FO. Denver was 21st. So the Raiders actually had by far and away the best run defense.
There you go. Keep hope alive.
So yeah, I mean it's possible that they have enough firepower there. I think that the Raiders defense can be pretty good with Patrick Graham cooking up with those guys. So there you have it. All right, that's it for the AFC West. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. For Wilson, I'm Brinson. We will see you guys